And the Oscar.
And the Grammy goes to...
We live in a culture that thrives on fame and recognition.
Oh my God. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
From wanting to become famous as a career to celebrities endorsing every product under the sun, the notion of fame is literally everywhere.
Did you have that wanting everybody to like you and not wanting to disappoint
I
anybody?
did. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And thanks to social media, pretty much anyone can reach a level of fame with just a little bit of work.
And I have to maintain this poker face.
But what are some of the hidden dangers of fame when it comes to your mental health?
You try not to give in to fear because obviously that's the whole point of being here.
And is it really all it's cracked up to be?
Dangerous mix of fame and fortune that can too often lead to reckless excess.
In this video, we'll explore all aspects of fame, from the good, the bad, and the ugly.
This is too much.
Stay tuned to see which celebrities actually embrace their fame and which celebs think it's a total nightmare.
Is it happening too fast?
No.
If you're at all familiar with celebrities, then you have probably seen a few pics of them hiding from cameras. This is one of the prices of fame, having all eyes on you at all times.
The paparazzi chasing down another star.
It gets so overwhelming that it can actually drive people crazy.
Someone jumping over your wall. You know, how is that not a clear line?
And if you aren't mentally sound, then there is a good chance your fame could eat you alive.
Of shouting, arguing, law-breaking photographers to continue traumatizing my kids.
But what is it about some people that makes them seek the spotlight? According to psychologists, there are several different answers.
For me, I can handle it.
When you take a peek at the history of some famous people who didn't handle their fame well, you may spot a pattern. Many times they are seeking validation because of childhood neglect or horrible parenting.
Are you an addict?
Yeah.
Sadly, instead of getting validation from the ones they love, they ended up getting validation from strangers.
What do you think is going on with Britney?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
While it may have felt good for some time, it literally destroyed some of the world's biggest stars.
I just want to be a happy person.
Mr. Elvis Presley.
Take Elvis Presley, for example. He was once considered the king, but towards the end of his life, he was on a downward spiral. Those closest to him remember his substance abuse issues as well as his issues with relationships. It's even speculated that after his mother passed away, he would resort to mother-son type relationships with his young girlfriends. There was a lot of psychological damage, yet no one seemed to be able to stop him.
Thank you. Good night.
Do you think your father was too strict?
Yes. No, he's gonna kill me.
This brings up another issue that comes with fame. Many times, people who are in a downward spiral are surrounded by loved ones who can call them out.
Let's help, guide her to do the right thing.
Sadly, the people that surround the celebrities are on the payroll. Sure, friends and family are usually there too, but it's not uncommon for them to be supported financially by the celebrity. This causes conflict when they try to call them out on their bad behavior.
It's not fair. It's not fair that, this is even something that...
Because of this, many celebs only roll with people who tell them yes all the time, even if it's against what's best for them.
I needed that joy. I needed my joy back.
So, even though people like Kurt Cobain and Elvis Presley were deeply loved by their fans, there was nothing anyone could do to actually save them.
I said no before even asking you guys. That's because I'm the leader.
Their fame became a monster they weren't able to deal with, and sadly, they both met their demise because of it. They aren't the only ones either. Could you imagine being so famous that someone else could use your fame to get famous themselves?
We're here to prove that love is not dead, even though John is.
People are still talking about the passing of John Lennon and how horrible it was. The ex-Beatle turned solo artist had all but given up on fame. He lived in New York City with his artist wife and was trying to stay out of the limelight.
How different is life in New York, say by comparison with life in London?
All he really wanted to do was focus on raising a son. That was until one fateful day in 1980. What's crazy is that John Lennon's passing was such huge news that it catapulted the man responsible into notorious fame.
Took 5 steps, turned, and fired 5 shots into his back.
There are now several movies and books about the subject, and even now we are still talking about him.
Roll to Mark David Chapman, the man who murdered John Lennon nearly 38 years ago.
While these artists may have not actually sought fame, there are troves of people who have. Sure, it comes with money, opportunity, and recognition, but at what price?
Because I expected her to recover, to get herself together.
Because we have so much access to famous celebrities, many people are striving for the same notoriety. The problem is they don't have any talent. Some may say the Kardashian family is a prime example of this. They are basically famous for just being themselves.
I don't care about hard. I just don't dance.
Come on, Kim, do something. Try.
This family has made others believe that they can do the same thing and make a fortune in doing so. While there is such a thing as 15 minutes of fame, we are pretty sure the Kardashians have outlived theirs. They have been able to turn their family into an empire. The reality is, this isn't normal, and they aren't a normal family. So many people are influenced by the life of the rich and famous that they think it's actually attainable. Then, when they don't get the recognition they think they deserve, it could have lasting psychological effects. As we said earlier, many people seek fame as a way to feel validated.
Able to encompass in their own lives a sense of inner fame that they can project to the world.
So when it doesn't actually happen, it could also be harmful. And to be fair, many celebrities will argue that fame is the worst thing that's ever happened to them.
You know, I've been through times where I've been so fucked up about a situation.
So what makes it so bad? It could be the constant chasing and stalking of the paparazzi, and the sometimes false stories they spread.
When people make up stories that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me.
Or it could be the fact that they aren't able to lead normal lives like everyone else.
And now I'm surrounded by people all the time.
But the real question here is, do they have the right to complain?
And so you need to cut the... You really do.
Okay.
Fans will argue that famous people knew what they were getting themselves into when they started their careers.
People are watching me, and that's the life that I chose.
They also argue that if you didn't want to become famous, you should have done something normal like becoming an accountant. There's also the notion that being famous comes with a lot of perks like awesome seats at events, free stuff, and bags of cash.
That you just benefit off of.
Totally.
Because of this, many people believe that celebrities should just deal with it and not say anything.
People still are stuck in this old idea.
While we totally see why this is a popular belief, we can also understand the desire celebrities have to live normal lives, especially when you hear what it's like in their day-to-day lives.
Like 5 cars of people outside your house, literally 24 hours a day.
Of course they knew what they were getting themselves into, but you can never really know what fame is like until it happens to you. Celebrities like Selena Gomez have sounded off on what it's really like to be famous and how no one should seek it.
I've had a lot of people try to tear me down, but I'm here.
She said in the past that she's not been able to make any decisions for herself. She's pretty much told what to do every day.
I know how hard I work, and I'm not going to let any of that get to me.
Could you imagine not having control over your life at all? It means that one slip-up could cost you your whole career. Just look at how many celebrities have said things over a decade ago and are still paying the price.
She said, I know her. I can't believe people still make such a big deal out of it.
For some reason, everyone forgets that celebrities are just as human as the rest of us, yet they aren't allowed to make any mistakes.
Not feeling overwhelmed by the abnormality of my life.
This has to put a huge burden on these celebs, especially with the mob mentality society has adopted these days.
Having sort of crowds form everywhere you go. And just everywhere.
There are other celebs like George Clooney who just miss being able to do mundane things like walk in Central Park. Before he was famous, no one could bat an eyelash at George in the park, but if he wants to be in the public now, there would be a media storm. From paparazzi snapping photos to hordes of fans pulling at him, it's impossible for George Clooney to have a stroll in the park. The guy can't even go out to eat with his wife without someone following him to take a picture. This means that when a celebrity does want to go in public, they actually have to have a plan. That's right, something as simple as going to a fast food chain is nearly impossible when you're famous. Not only will someone judge you because of what you're eating, but just trying to get to the establishment can be difficult. They either have to have someone else drive them or conceal their faces altogether. Could you imagine trying to go out with friends and having to figure out how to dodge mobs of people? It's probably exhausting. Some celebs have compared it to always feeling like a fugitive on the run.
Can we go at the back?
It's amazing how lonely you can feel.
Because of this, being famous can actually be really isolating. Yes, you can be someone who is adored by millions of people, yet you feel completely alone. If you're never able to leave your home without causing a scene, then it can become very lonely.
Remind myself that it's just being alone. It's not lonely.
That's why some celebrities resort to hiding their identity when they're in public. But let's face it, that almost never works. The best way to combat their loneliness is to try to find meaningful relationships, which, according to many celebs, can be quite the challenge. Speaking of which, dating as a celebrity is pretty much impossible.
What dating life?
None?
No.
Going back to Selena Gomez, who has talked about the issue of dating while famous. She says that anyone who tries to date her would be crazy to do so. They would end up in the tabloids and every detail about their life would be sought out. She thinks any normal person wouldn't want that sort of attention. This could be why so many celebrities date other celebrities. At least they can bond over the fact that their lives are circuses. Plus, they can trust that the person isn't dating them because they want to be famous. And it's not only the strangers that people can't trust, but it can also be family and friends. Time and time again, we see famous people in legal battles with their parents.
We're going to begin, though, with controversy surrounding teen heartthrob Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber has had ongoing personal issues with his mother. When watching old videos of when he started his career, it's easy to see his mother may have pushed him into becoming famous.
He's got a long journey and great plan.
Now, considering his level of fame, it's easy to see why he has lashed out over the years. This is another part of the celebrity trap. Instead of being treated like humans, many times famous people are treated as props. They are seen as cash cows to products and companies.
It's hard when people treat you differently, when you don't feel any differently.
They are seen as props by people who want to take selfies with them.
Like, can I have a selfie? And I'm like, no.
They are even hunted like prey by photographers because that one special shot is worth thousands. And it seems like they are never making headlines because of good behavior. It's almost like photographers antagonize them because they want to see someone famous have a meltdown. Could you imagine having a bad day and someone photographing you or saying mean things to you just to get you to react? Well, this is almost a daily occurrence for celebrities, and they are sick of it. How do we know they're sick of it? Well, they aren't shy about telling the world how they feel. Considering they have so many issues with their fame, it's no surprise that many stars end up lashing out. And who was there to take the brunt of those lashings? Well, usually the paparazzi. The worst part, it seems like they thrive on this controversy. Let's face it, taking pictures of a celebrity losing their cool means guaranteed magazine sales. So when a famous person acts up, the paps see money signs. Let's use Justin Bieber as an example again. The guy is followed around so much that something bad is bound to happen. Things have gotten so out of hand that one time he ran over a photographer with his truck. Okay, so no one is really sure if he did it or not, or if the photographer staged it, but the incident still happened. All Justin was trying to do was pull out of a driveway. The paparazzi were standing so close it was hard for him to see anything, especially with all those lights flashing in his eyes.
Are you guys worried about me, or are you guys worried about this guy that's on the ground?
And while he had every right to go crazy or run away, Justin actually did his best to try to defuse the situation. What's even more bizarre is the fact that none of the other photographers tried to help the man. They were too busy taking pictures of Justin with the victim to actually lend a helping hand.
Put your cameras down and get back.
This would only happen to someone who is famous. There are loads of other celebrities who have been caught lashing out on camera. One repeat offender is Kanye West. Back in 2013, he berated the TMZ cameraman for talking to him at LAX. This time, the cameraman wasn't even antagonizing Kanye. He was actually complimenting him. Kanye wasn't having any of it. He lunged at the man and told him to never talk to him again and never talk to anyone he knows. We totally get not being in the best mood after a flight, but we couldn't imagine lashing out so harshly at someone. Then again, we aren't followed on a daily basis by strangers with cameras. Even celebs who aren't as notorious as Kanye have had issues with the paps. Sometimes it gets so bad they don't want to leave their homes, and we don't blame them. Back in August of 2018, Blac Chyna had a run-in with the paparazzi, and things took a nasty turn. It happened not long after Blac Chyna's mother said some nasty things about her in the media. Instead of being able to recover from the insults privately, more and more photographers started seeking her out. That's what probably drove her over the edge when one cameraman came at her the wrong way. Instead of basking in the glory of the attention, Chyna yelled at the man, telling him to cut off the camera and stating that this was why she doesn't like to leave her home. This is just another example of how celebrities are dehumanized because of their fame and are treated more like zoo animals than people. Celebrities are even yelled at by photographers just to get a response.
Just want to walk my dogs in peace.
In early 2018, one paparazzo crossed the line when trying to get Paris Jackson to talk on camera. The daughter of the late King of Pop was leaving the Met Gala and headed to her SUV. Unsurprisingly, she was surrounded by cameras and flashing lights. All the cameramen were trying to get her to talk, and one succeeded by being kind of a jerk. He called Paris a doo-doo head, which may sound pretty silly to get upset over, but what you may not know is that this was the nickname her late father gave her. So you can imagine why this would upset her. She went on to tell him he had no right to call her that, and we have to agree. This is disgusting behavior that no one should have to deal with. Yet again, it happens to celebrities all the time. Though there are several celebs who lash out about their fame in person, there are even more who speak out via social media. After the arrest of her stalker in 2018, Kendall Jenner had a few choice words for TMZ, and it's easy to see why she was so upset. In a tweet, Kendall stated that she knew what she was signing up for, but that the show had put her life in danger by releasing private info about her. What's even scarier is that TMZ showed photos of her home and the surrounding area. This concerned the model because now even more people have access to her home because the show gave away her location. This raises the question, what is the line when it comes to lives of celebrities? Don't they deserve to at least feel safe in their own homes? And if it's not safety concerns that they have to deal with, it's straight up lies. We get it, the thought of Kylie Jenner having another baby would rock the world, but when you have to resort to photoshopping pictures to make a buck on the story, you should come up with something better to do. That's exactly what happened in November of 2018 when a photo of the makeup mogul went viral. In the now removed photo, it shows Kylie and her sister Khloe waiting to board a private jet. While the ladies are obvious bombshells, it was something else that caused quite a stir. The photo made it look like Kylie had a baby bump. Of course, it didn't take long for Kylie to clap back and call the photo out for being a fake. Then, quickly after, the photo was taken off Twitter. While we would love to see Kylie pregnant again, we are pretty sure she would tell us herself this time. Then there was that time Cara Delevingne had to take to Twitter to call out the paps. Honestly, she seems like one of the most mellow stars, yet even she can be annoyed by pesky photographers. In 2014, the model went on a Twitter rant on what she really thought about the paparazzi. Considering everywhere she goes people are clicking their cameras, you could understand why she had the breakdown. She even compared paparazzi to assassins who wait in the bushes to get a picture, which is a pretty scary thing if you think about it. She continued to speculate how many more lives who have to be lost for the laws to change, and this morbid realization is something that haunts many celebrities. The truth is, these photographers go to great lengths to try to get the perfect shot, and many times they don't think about the consequences. So why do they do it? Obviously for the money, but could there be something more? Stay tuned and we'll tell you as we dive into the history and everyday life of the paparazzi. The interest in famous people's lives is nothing new. In fact, ever since Hollywood began, there has been a fascination with its stars. It wasn't uncommon for celebs to have their photos taken, but many times the photographers were hired by the studios. In the 1940s, studios started hiring cameramen to snap shots of actors behind the scenes and in between takes. This gave fans a more intimate look at what life was like on a Hollywood set, and it was also a way for the studios to control the images their cash cow stars gave off. But by the 1950s, something drastic started happening. Filming in Los Angeles started becoming too expensive, even by Hollywood standards. So the whole industry started moving overseas. This set the scene for where the first paparazzi photos were taken. It was an image of a famous Hollywood couple, Anthony Steele and Anita Ekberg. The photo showed a visibly intoxicated Anthony and a less than thrilled Anita, which was a stark contrast from the happily married couple image they were trying to sell from there. From there, the celebrity-obsessed culture began. This one photo pulled off a fake curtain, and now fans were able to see the true lives of the stars. By 1960, several paparazzi were following and stalking celebrity hotspots in Italy, but at the time, they were just called street photographers. It wasn't until the 1960 film La Dolce Vita that the word paparazzo came to be. It was because the main character's sidekick in the movie was a photographer by the name of Paparazzo. From there, the name pretty much stuck with celebrity photographers. What has grown, though, is the number of people constantly following and snapping pics of famous people. So why do they do it? Well, just like back in the day, the right picture could score a paparazzo thousands of dollars. So what do they actually look for in terms of the right picture? To no surprise, controversy sells. That's why when Britney Spears shaved her head, it made worldwide headlines. And of course, the photos made big bucks. On the other hand, photos of the pop stars walking the red carpet aren't really big news. So the reason why paparazzi stalk celebrities like prey is because they can catch them off guard. And they literally stalk their subjects. Some paparazzi follow the same stars for years. They end up knowing everything about the celebrity. From tipping parking attendants or restaurant servers, they get a ton of information. They can even end up predicting what the celebrity will do next. It's actually pretty scary if you think about it. Someone who follows you day in and day out, or just trying to see if you slip up. Could you imagine? Surprisingly, many times paparazzi end up becoming friendly with the celebs they follow. This makes sense if you think about it. If the same person were following you around for years, you'd probably end up having some dialogue with them. Sometimes they even feel bad for photographing the stars they become close to. Many times they won't even do it if they actually care about the famous person. Back when Britney Spears was having her very public meltdown, she became close with the photographers that were following her. She even ended up dating one of them. One of the paps in her crew admitted that they became like a little family to her. She didn't have anyone else in her life, and they were even protective over her. This seems a little sad, but it's also one of the reasons some paparazzi get into the business. They want to be close to celebs and are interested in their lifestyle. Though the allure and glamour fade pretty quickly once the drawbacks set in. What's even more shocking is that being a paparazzo isn't as lucrative as you might think. Sure, they can make up to $9,000 for one photograph. The chances of doing that more than once a year is pretty slim. That doesn't account for the fact at how cutthroat the business is. There are so many paps these days that it's nearly impossible to get a unique shot of a celeb, especially the stars everyone knows are worth the most amount of money. Think about it. If you had an assignment that you knew would bring in more money, you'd do that. That's why we constantly see the same people on the covers of tabloid magazines. Paps know that they can basically hunt these celebs, and it means a big payday. There is another thing that's been bad for business for the paps. Social media. Thanks to social media, celebrities are more in control of their image than ever. They have become their own photographers and sharers of their lives. Now, when a scandal breaks, they can address it almost instantly. They can show how they have no shame in posting makeupless selfies, or how they have less than perfect bodies. Then there are times they can cut out the middleman altogether and give magazine-exclusive photos. Like when celebs sell photographs of their newborn babies to gossip mags. This is a power move. It means they are releasing the info they want into the world at their own pace. This doesn't make up for the fact that the world is still so obsessed with them, though. Brad Pitt could release a photo on social media every day, and paps would still swarm him. Needless to say, it still pays to a paparazzo. This is especially true when you can find a crack in the crew of a famous person. Thanks to the obsession with their lives, many times those closest to the stars will sell stories for quick cash. One of the most notable times this happened was when Meghan Markle's own father almost derailed the royal wedding. Meghan had so much to lose, and she's lucky the royal family was able to look over the whole thing. And to no one's surprise, her father wasn't invited to the wedding. It's crazy the lengths people will go to make money in the celebrity world, even if it means losing a relationship with the person they are supposed to care about most. It also begs the question, who can a celebrity truly trust in this fame-obsessed society? The fact of the matter is, if people weren't interested, there wouldn't be a market for photos of famous people. Because of this, you can be sure that this culture isn't going to change anytime soon. So, what should celebrities do? They've already pled to be left alone. Some of them don't leave their homes, while others choose to embrace their fame. And as we've asked before, do they even have the right to be mad? Sure, they have amazing lives and all the money in the world, but they are paying the price for it. But when the camera's turned on ordinary everyday people, they are singing a much different tune. Imagine doing something as mundane as riding on the subway, then all of a sudden someone with a camera starts filming you. It would be pretty alarming, right? This happens all the time, and people get really aggravated with the person recording them. As they should, because this is a total violation of privacy. Yet when it happens to a celebrity, we are supposed to just say they deserve it. But the only thing they did was have a different job than the rest of us, yes. Sure, many times celebs enjoy the spotlight, but most of the time they would rather get it for their talent, not for having a bad hair day. You could probably understand their frustration. Do you think they should be upset? Why or why not? Tell us in the comments section below. So let's take things to a more positive place, because let's face it, while fame is annoying to celebs, it also comes with amazing perks, like the fact that they can get paid to pose for paparazzi photos. If you don't know by now, there is such a thing as celebrities tipping off photographers. They do this so they can either endorse a product or let the paps get their shots and leave them alone. There are celebs that are pros at doing this, like when Cameron Diaz and Justin Timberlake split back in the day. She used the paps to her advantage. Instead of having them take photos of her looking depressed and eating ice cream, Cameron would get dressed up and hit the town. She would then contact the paps and let them know where she was going. Not only did she get photos of herself looking gorgeous, she also got respect from the photographers. Another star who totally knows how to work the paparazzi cameras is Paris Hilton. Are we really shocked? She pretty much invented the modern-day obsession with celebrity culture. She turned her life and name into a billion-dollar brand, so to her, playing nice with the paps is a business move. Just think about it. Pretty much every candid photo you see of Paris, you see one of her products in the image as well. This is no accident, and just because she may play dumb, this move shows just how brilliant Paris Hilton is. You'd probably be shocked to hear that celebs like Kanye West and Justin Bieber know how to play nice with paparazzi as well. The two most badly behaved stars aren't nearly as terrible as you think. And you know why you don't know this? Because it doesn't sell magazines. That's the problem with the fame trap. You make more money for gossip mags when you're messing up. So when videos pop up of Justin Bieber trying to reason with paparazzi, people are shocked. But in real life, this is what happens more often than not. Justin is notorious for pleading with the paparazzi and trying to reach a middle ground. Usually he's very well spoken and not aggressive at all. If you ever see these videos, you'd be shocked that it's even the same person the media has made everyone love to hate. There is one Hollywood heartthrob that is known for hamming it up for the cameras. When it comes to Ryan Gosling, is there anything bad you can say? Not only does he seem like a super chill guy, but he never seems to be surrounded by controversy. He is one of the celebrities who has been able to handle his fame in a seemingly healthy way. Sometimes he even seems cheerful about it. It's pretty obvious that Ryan causes a stir no matter where he goes, but that doesn't keep him from enjoying life. Just look at him walking his dog, you know, like he's not Ryan Gosling. He even gives a funny fist pump to the camera. If only every celebrity-photographer interaction could be this way, we are sure Hollywood would be a much calmer place. Maybe being famous isn't as bad as these celebrities think. Or maybe it all comes down to the mental health of the people before they become famous. There are loads of celebrities who fully embrace their status and even try to use it to do good in the world. One star who has been very vocal about his love of being famous is Will Smith. Though it may be an unpopular opinion, he frequently relishes in the spotlight, and no one is calling him out on it because, hey, who doesn't love Will Smith? In a candid interview meant for fans, Will Smith answered why he loves being famous. He explained that he had to struggle and fight his way to the top. His life wasn't always easy, and now that he's famous, he actually feels safe. He explains this by saying that he will always be treated well because of his status. If someone in his family were sick, he knows that the hospital will take care of him first. At the same time, he completely understands the drawbacks. He knows that he causes mobs everywhere he goes. He knows that his life isn't normal and he can't just walk in the park. He also is aware that people say nasty things, but luckily he knows how to combat this. Will explained in the interview that he refuses to let the drawbacks of fame ruin the good aspects of it. He knows that he is well taken care of, and his family is taken care of, and for that, he's a total fan of his fame. How amazing is that? Then we have hunks like Henry Cavill that give a little less inspiring reason to why he enjoys fame. In an interview, the Superman actor self-awarely gives a shallow but honest reason why he likes being famous: the money. That's right, someone had to say it. He loves being able to go shopping and not worry about how much he's spending. He's completely motivated by the freedom of an endless bankroll his famous life allows him. But don't worry, he's not completely selfish. Henry loves to spread the wealth. In the same interview, he talks about how he likes being the one to pick up the tab when out with friends. All he wants is for everyone to have a good time, and if that means he's the one paying, then he's all about it. Robert Downey Jr. is another superhero star that doesn't mind his fame. Considering he's one of the greatest comeback kids of all time, we're sure he has a lot to be grateful for. Most of all, the fact that he has a career at all. But what we love most about this actor, besides his sense of humor, is how he uses his fame to do good. He and his wife set up Random Act Funding. It's an organization that promotes acts of kindness and helps people in need. And some of the major benefactors from this fund happen to be children. Sounds pretty awesome to us and makes Robert Downey Jr. even more of a superhero in our eyes. While us regular people may never know what it's like to be famous, well, unless Andy Warhol is to be believed and everyone will have their 15 minutes of fame, it's hard to know how we might react to it.
It's like, oh, I'm not a stalker, I'm a paparazzi. It's like, oh, that makes a massive difference.
But there is no denying that it's a strange culture when you really think about it.
Totally attribute my career to social media.
We've turned normal humans into modern-day mythological gods. Sadly, we are dealing with real people with real feelings and real lives.
You feel like a like a zoo animal or something.
Hopefully one day there can be balance in the fame trap, but for now it seems to be a downside of some of our favorite artists and stars.
But that was definitely crazy.